And thanks everyone for joining us. Hello, welcome to our session, How Libraries Strengthen Small Business Communities. My name is Megan Janicki. I'm the Deputy Director of Strategic Initiatives with the American Library Association's Public Policy and Advocacy Office. I've had the opportunity to manage the Libraries Build Business Initiative over the course of the last 2 years and provide support to our growing Libraries Build Business community. Today, we'll share with you some strategies, inspiration, and practical advice based on our experience with the Libraries Build Business Initiative for small business and entrepreneurship programs, resources, and services. I'll give a brief overview of the Libraries Build Business Initiative before introducing our panel. So, Libraries Build Business is a national initiative of the American Library Association supported by Google.org to partner with a cohort of 13 public libraries from around the country to provide innovative programs, services, and resources to aspiring and existing small business owners and entrepreneurs while prioritizing low-income and underrepresented entrepreneurs. Programs were tailored to the needs of local communities, and we ultimately served nearly 15,000 participants through the course of the initiative. You see from the map that the cohort members ranged from very large to very small in urban, rural, and suburban communities. The program kicked off in 2020, and we culminated the grant period in early 2022 with the release of our Libraries Build Business Playbook. More on that in a minute. Though the grant period is over, our work together is ongoing. The Libraries Build Business community continues to grow with over 200 libraries participating in discussions and resource sharing. And through this peer networking, we are scaling our lessons and impact. So like I mentioned, in the 13 public libraries in the 18 months we were tracking, nearly 15,000 aspiring and existing small business owners and entrepreneurs attended programs and received services and resources in the library programs. Libraries were partners, leaders, and innovators in the small business ecosystem, plugging in to complement existing work being done, grow capacity, and create access. Essentially, we believe all libraries, no matter their size or budget, can and should support small businesses and entrepreneurs. Depending on your capacity, there are various starting points to explore. This graphic, which is from our Libraries Build Business Playbook, offers some considerations to help a library situate themselves. In many cases, by leveraging existing resources, libraries are equipped to support small businesses now. So even at a level 1, a library might offer their meeting space, their Wi-Fi connection, their public computers. These are things that most libraries already have, and it's just a matter of doing outreach to your business community. Whereas in levels 2 and 3, you are creating more dedicated programming, allocating resources and funding towards your business programming. At the level 3, really having like this dedicated, ongoing, sustaining program or service or expertise around small business. So, but anything to get started, really, it's just about kind of connecting with those entrepreneurs and connecting with the partners in your community. In addition to our goal of supporting small business owners and entrepreneurs, we aspired to support and advance the library field with promising practices and models, a community of practice, and resources based on what we learned. With that, we offer a community of practice on Slack. Anyone interested in small business is welcome to join us there to talk with peers, ask questions, share resources and experiences, and join monthly online events. Our book, Libraries That Build Business, was released in May 2022 and features 30 libraries from around the country offering innovative practices for small business programs. The book offers practical how-to and step-by-step instruction, as well as inspiration for programs to adapt. All of the panelists today are co-authors. Finally, the 13 libraries in the cohort collaboratively developed the Libraries Build Business Playbook, a free resource to support libraries in developing, implementing, sustaining, and evaluating small business initiatives. More resources are also available on our website, including an initiative highlights report that shares the impact of libraries in the small business ecosystem with the external stakeholder audience in mind. It's a great thing to share with potential funders, or maybe like a local chamber of commerce or a small business association, people you're thinking of partnering with. as well as adapted measurement and evaluation tools on the Public Library Association's project outcome in order to make short, easy surveys. So check out our website for more on all of these resources, and please connect with us on Slack if you're interested in collaborating with us. So without further ado, the panel will introduce themselves and their initiatives, and we'll get started with Nathaniel Bernard.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Nathaniel Bernard. I am the main library manager at the Allen County Public Library. We are based out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, a community of roughly 370,000 people in Northeast Indiana, about 2 hours from Indianapolis. And the way our library came into the world of entrepreneurship was through community partnerships. We are very lucky to have in Fort Wayne the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center, which is a local nonprofit organization that specifically is tailored to helping individuals achieve their entrepreneurial goals. And so when they reached out to us, we found a mutual match in being able to utilize our information expertise, our programming capacity, our infrastructure with our branches and library buildings around the community to support their work in helping to reach entrepreneurs in underserved communities, which has become an increasing focus of what they are trying to do as their nonprofit board directs. So we found a match in trying to provide opportunity to people. And so we've worked with them in a variety of ways. We've done, during the pandemic, we did a slate of online programs virtually for people to access. What was featured in the library's Build Business books was our work with our teen employment and life skills program, where we introduced entrepreneurial concepts specifically surrounding social entrepreneurship to our group of teen employees over the summer. And we've continued to grow that. And now we are working with the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center through the Community Navigator Pilot Program, which has connected us with several other nonprofit organizations around Northeast Indiana to work collectively to increase entrepreneurial opportunity. And so that has a variety of exciting aspects and new technology for the library, cohorts with partner groups like the Urban League, working with Bankable for finance so we can connect individuals to money. Just a lot of different aspects. So we're pretty broad in our scope in supporting entrepreneurship. And that's one of the exciting things about, working with a well-established partner is it allows us to flex in ways that may be easier than if we were having to design a program ourselves. So that's the quick high-level overview. I'm going to hand it over to Rachel.
Thanks. Good morning, afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is where you're at, but welcome. And my name is Rachel Swoboda, and I'm the Business Services Coordinator at the Laramie County Library System in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Our program is called Wyoming Library to Business, and it started after about 5 years of being in this position. We just noticed with our partners especially that we really wanted to take everything that we had learned here in Laramie County and spread it across Wyoming. We are really lucky. We have a public library in every single county in Wyoming, and it's actually written into our Constitution that those should remain funded. So what a great way to get information out. But knowing that so many of our county libraries are rural, they might only have 2 or 3 people that actually work within their actual buildings. So our goal was to scale everything that we had learned within Laramie County and take that across the state. It's been fantastic. It's been a lot of hard work. And we're just excited to keep going. We are also part of the Community Navigator Pilot Program through the SBA. And so our work with Libraries Build Business enabled us to sign on with that program and continue to do the work that we've been doing. With that, I will turn it over to Gwinnett County.
Thank you, Rachel, and hi, everyone. My name is Adam Pitts. I'm the branch manager of the Lawrenceville branch of Gwinnett County Public Library here in the Metro Atlanta area. And I'm here with my colleague Atlas Logan, the branch manager of the Duluth branch. And our initiative is called the New Start Entrepreneurship Incubator. It is a 6-month course for formerly incarcerated individuals who want to start a small business. Our reason for wanting to offer a program for justice-involved individuals is because they face a lot of employment barriers and societal stigma. And sometimes entrepreneurship is the only avenue for future success. And there wasn't a lot offered in our community, so we felt that we could fill that void. Cohorts of about 10 to 15 students attend monthly presentations by local business experts on topics such as financial basics, marketing and branding, licensing and laws, and how to write a business plan. And following each meeting, our students complete an online curriculum and receive one-on-one support from a small business mentor that we assign to them. Because we're working with a disadvantaged group who may not have access to a computer and internet at home, we offer a laptop and hotspot kits so the students can borrow while they're enrolled in the course. And if they complete the course in good standing, meaning that they miss no more than one of the classes, they receive a laptop that they get to keep. And our program launched in January of 2021. So far, we've had 3 cohorts. We're in the middle of our 3rd cohort currently. And so Atlas is going to tell us a little bit more about some of the changes and improvements we've made to the course over time.
Yeah, sure. One of my favorite things about this program is that we've continued to improve and evolve over time. Some of those changes did take place before the playbook was published, and those include releasing our curriculum in monthly increments instead of all at once to promote engagement and to keep people with us throughout the program. We included an outreach coordinator who keeps in touch with them and finds out any other needs that they may have, whether that be related to transportation or housing, and just make sure that they're more holistically supported so that they can focus on the curriculum. We added in optional office hours for anybody who's struggling or would like to talk to a member of the team about anything that they have going on related to the program or not. We've added in a couple of workshops, one dedicated to more in-depth assistance with building their business plan, and one that helps them prepare a pitch for an event that we do called Launchpad. And that is where they have an opportunity to pitch their small business kind of Shark Tank style. In the past, we have done that with a panel of experts / potential donors, and those who have made a connection were able to follow up to seek potential funding from that. We are excited in our 3rd cohort to change that up a little bit, and we're going to be starting with a pre-existing pool of money, and that way we can populate our panel strictly with experts who can give good feedback in addition to guaranteed funding. So it's been a great journey, and it continues.
Thanks everyone for introducing yourselves. We have a few prepared questions that I will ask the panel now, and then we should have time for audience questions as well. So as Tracy mentioned, feel free to put questions in the chat and we'll take a look at those in a minute. So kicking off our Q&A time, why should libraries provide services and programs for small business owners and entrepreneurs?
I can start.
Great.
Yeah, so for iLibrary, it matches our mission and our strategic plan. So being able to take staff expertise and embed it into our community, specifically in areas that are underserved, is a real priority for the library. Entrepreneurship is one of the best opportunity equalizers that is out there, as Gwinnett just mentioned with their program specifically, but in general, it's a really great way for the library to leverage the resources they have to connect individuals to community partners, entrepreneur incubators, finances, things that can enrich their quality of life. And that's really what libraries, generally speaking, are all about. So for our part, that's the high level overview. And on the other level too, we have a lot of staff in our business departments. We have all of these resources and opportunities that we want to put in the hands of our public. And so entrepreneurial support is one of the best ways to do that.
So for Wyoming, I mentioned before that we have a county library in each county, which makes for this really incredible delivery system. So in my mind, I'm like, of course we would use libraries to get information out. But as far as our bigger why, I don't know how much you know about Wyoming and how rural it is. But with the decline of coal and mineral revenue, we have been in desperate need of economic diversification across the state. Our governor appointed an executive council called the Economically Needed Diversity Options for Wyoming, otherwise known as ENDOW. And that executive council spent 18 months engaged with education and research institutions, with Wyoming citizens, community leaders, and businesses to establish an action plan. And that included, what they identified was that an entrepreneurial ecosystem is one of the 5 building blocks that is needed to prepare for the future and sustain Wyoming's economic welfare. Library to business programs address that need for economic diversification by providing services that can foster the entrepreneurial ecosystem and help current and future business owners gain access to the information, the organizations, and the funding that will assist them in making their plans viable. As a very rural state, we have broadband, but it's not always so broad. But each one of our libraries has a great broadband connection. And so sometimes, in fact, very often, folks will have to go to their library to access this information. And this just made the most sense as far as we could see to assist how we could assist our state move forward. And again, libraries are trusted institutions. There is no such thing as a dumb question in a library. In a library, you can ask, I don't know how a mouse works. I don't know how to get on this Zoom meeting. What is Zoom anyways? And then, of course, any business question that you can imagine. But when you ask those questions in a library, you do so with the confidence that you'll be taken seriously. And the librarian that's helping you will give you relevant, reliable resources, and that they will work hard to answer your questions and get you to experts that can help you move from point A to point B.
Yeah, and just to add to what Nathaniel was saying about library resources, libraries are also in a good position to leverage community partners and partnerships. We've partnered with many for our program, like SCORE, some volunteers from SCORE, local small business consultants. There's a new entrepreneurship center that's open locally that we've partnered with. So we can connect, our patrons to those resources.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with what Rachel was talking about too, with serving rural communities. Libraries often are one of the few institutions that are placed to be able to assist them. And we have within Allen County several rural communities that we serve. And part of our initiative with the Community Navigator pilot program is how can we help address the rural broadband issue, access internet, and basic like pre-entrepreneurship, pre-small business level instruction that you would need to know for people who may not be familiar with technology or the online ecosystems that they would have to navigate. That's a major role that libraries can play to really support, our small business community.
Okay, next question. Who are common community partners and how should you engage with the existing small business resources and partners in your community?
So we have a ton of partners, and that's kind of the basis of our entire entry into entrepreneurship, engagement through our library was through this partnership engagement from the NIC, the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center. And I'm really grateful they reached out to us because it has opened up a world of connection to our staff, to our patrons, because, we're partners with them, but we're also partners with everybody they are partners with now. So when you go to their website, you'll see like a list of literally 40 different partners that they work with. So we have inroads and connections to, our extension, with 4-H to help us reach out to the rural community, with our universities and colleges in towns. They have, employment pipelines that they work with. They also work with SCORE. We work with Work One. We work with a variety of different employment agencies and entrepreneurial parts. And that's really great, especially for libraries, because if there's one thing that I think is important to note out of all is libraries are really kind of force multipliers for these agencies. They're really good at what they do. What they often lack is reach or access to communities that the library already serves. And so that's kind of our natural place to be, is that we can connect those agencies which are trying to get somewhere that they are not, because again, we're trusted connectors. We already have staff, facilities in place. We have neutral meeting spaces that nonprofits can rent for free. Just any variety of ways to support people with basic stuff. We all have maker spaces now, generally speaking, where you can do branding or other, Photoshop work to support your materials, business cards, anything like that. A library is kind of a one-stop shop to point you in the right direction. And in order to do that effectively, A, we have to know who's in our community, and B, we have to engage with them. So that way, when we refer somebody to them, it's not coming in blind. We've already built that relationship. So our patrons know where to start, and we're setting them up for success when we hand them off.
So we have the same community partners, and we started with kind of the basics, the national partners. So your small business development center, there's one in every state. In somewhere you've also got in every state some sort of manufacturing works. They're all named something a little differently, but they help businesses with manufacturing issues. Of course, the Small Business Administration and women's business centers, and of course there are chambers of commerce and many other economic development organizations within each community. And I just want to share with everyone, when you're engaging with these individuals, these partners in our communities, sometimes you have to do so carefully. It's good to remind a potential partner that libraries are here to support communities, and that would include an economic development organization. So as you approach a group, if they and I'll tell you what, this happens. And one of the best things about Libraries Build Business was I learned that I was not alone, because we had a specific organization that would kind of pat me on the head and say, it's okay, little library. Thanks for trying to help, but leave it to the adults. And so breaking through and showing those organizations that you're there to support them as well, through, what kind of programs or resources could you provide that helps that specific organization with their goals? That can be very, very helpful in working with common community partners. So just keep that in mind. And if you hit a wall, that's okay. Just find another way to approach.
Yeah, Adam has already kind of listed some of our common small business partners that we use, SCORE, Small Business Ally, the Gwinnett Entrepreneurship Center. One of the ones that I think is special and unique to our program is with the Greater Gwinnett Reentry Alliance, and that's less small business, but more for those who have served time in jail. And that was really important for us. And that's one of the ones that we start off with our monthly presentations, is because they can really build that rapport with our cohort, because they have been through the struggle and they understand the special barriers that our group is facing. And we have found that really resonates. And so they're a backbone of our cohort. They present our partners at every monthly session. They serve as mentors one-on-one with our cohort students. But it is a two-way street. As both Nathaniel and Rachel have mentioned, we provide them with services as well. Gwinnett Entrepreneurship Center, for example, we've gone and done presentations on library resources for their members, and really have talked about ways that they can move forward using the library as well. So it's a two-way street, and it turns into a beautiful thing. And there's lots of resources. You just, like Rachel said, if you don't get what you're looking for from one, keep persisting and you'll find the right match.
Yeah. And one follow-up with partnerships that I think is also important to note too, is that the connections it's made for our library have allowed us to pursue other avenues of service, which I would not have considered possible prior to partnering, right? You know, the small business community, they're really great at networking. That's one of the best things about working with them is you get to meet so many people. So as part of our partnership, you know, with the NIC, we've been also able to expand into partnerships with the Indiana University School of Social Work through a connector event, and many other ones that are adding serious value to what we are doing as an organization and institution. Being able to meet and talk to people and share that experience opens up doors that you might not have considered even possible, you know, without having that opportunity.
Thanks, everyone. Last question from me, and then I do see we have some questions in the chat, so we'll move to those. But first, how do you make your initiative scalable and sustainable?
Well, that's an interesting, it's been a multi-year process for us at the Allen County Public Library. It started off small, you know, hosting them and seeing if people would show up to our space to meet them. That kind of tanked, you know, we didn't have the engagement we were looking at. So we started expanding our work with virtual programs and joining their cohorts that they mentor through, which saw some good reward. And then other grant opportunities came along, which we're able to seize. And so it hasn't been something that's been built overnight. It's been looking for the opportunities when they are there for us and seeing if we have the staff resource to commit to it. And sometimes they've matched, sometimes they haven't, but generally speaking, it's been in alignment. And I think for us in evaluating whether or not it's scalable and sustainable is looking at how committed our partners are, you know, where the funding is at and what the grant outlook looks like for the two projects we're working on now. And knowing too that our partners that we work with are established, right? So they're committed to these in the same way that we are. This isn't something they're necessarily going to want to drop. They want it to be a success. So finding matching organizational alignment, I think, has probably been the most important thing for us in making sure that these sustain. It's not individuals that are trying to make these initiatives happen. It is an organizational philosophy. And when you have that kind of level of support, whether it be from our directors or administration, the community, it's easier to find the staff resource to put into it.
So my recommendation is start with what you have. When I go out into our Wyoming community at large, and I'm working with rural communities that do not have the staff bandwidth to, you know, say, okay, this person is going to be able to spend 20 hours a week on this. Just start inside the building. And what I teach is there's kind of a three-prong approach, right? So first, what do you already have on your shelf that can assist the patron that's in front of you and answer the question? What do you have electronically? So e-magazines, audiobooks, ebooks, databases. And then last would be who in the community is an expert. So someone that you can refer, whoever's asking the question, where can you refer them? Do you currently have a list of community experts in your organization? Did somebody already make that list? Maybe you don't have to even make it. And most importantly, is everyone in your organization prepared to share these three methods of resources with the public? And so just starting at that very low level, literally, we started with a Word doc and just started keeping track of who was on first. It took me a long time to figure out who did what, and then just making that information available and making sure that my colleagues could point our patrons to that exact same information. So that's just a great way to start that does not require a huge amount of staff time and does not require a huge amount of money.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rachel. You know, it's nice to have, you know, grant funds where you can purchase things like the loaner laptops and the hotspots and be able to do those things. But if you can't, then you can certainly do it on a smaller budget, and the community partners and the volunteers make that possible. We found that they're, you know, more than willing, more than happy to help aspiring entrepreneurs in our case. There was one other thing I was going to say about that, but now I don't remember what it was. But it was, oh yeah, if you start small, like with a workshop, if you know don't want to start with a 6-month program right off the bat, you know, start small with a workshop, see how it goes, see, you know, gauge community interest, and then build out from there.
Rachel had mentioned making use of the resources you already have. And that's one of my favorite things about our curriculum in particular for our students is that's exactly what we did. We started with the business resources that we had access to either through our databases or online through resources like Brian Hamilton's Starter U. And so our curriculum, I mean, beyond the grant, it still stands. We still have access to it. We can adapt it. You know, currently it's for our justice involved students, but we can adapt that to any audience really and tailor it and scale it however needed. So start with what you have and build from there.
And I just want to add real quick, whether it's business or nonprofit, those two go side by side. So together, they go together very, very well. And so I know that everybody is here for Candid, but regardless, the same structure will work if you're new to Candid and you're looking at how can I reach out to my nonprofit community. Just following these things that we've said about partners can be very, very helpful.
Thank you, panel. We have a few questions in the chat. I'll just try to go through them and see how many we can get to. So let's see. Regina asks, how are you finding and engaging your communities of interest?
So that's an interesting question because we're trying to reach through a lot of our work underserved communities that in general are challenging to engage. And so a lot of my work has been reaching out, whether it be through the Libraries Build business community with community partners, trying to see where they also have reach that we can, you know, lean onto or vice versa, because collectively we're able to reach more people than we are individually. One of the benefits that we have found, you know, for example, through this Community Navigator pilot program we're doing with the NIC and multiple other organizations, one of our partners is the Urban League, which happens to be next door to one of our, you know, underserved community branches. And so they've been able to build up a really close partnership and work together on nurturing a cohort of people who would like to start small businesses from within the community. That wouldn't have been possible without the grant or also the effort between those two neighbors to make that connection. Individually, you can only do so much on your own because those communities, that they need to find a way to trust you, to welcome you, and that isn't the same for every place they engage. You know, we have organizations within the city that have really great reach that, you know, we can supplement or support or vice versa. And that's how we're really trying to work our way in there, is through the power of partnership. Because at some point, you know, our own advertising or marketing efforts, you know, they reach the capacity of what they can do.
Okay. Rachel asks, how many people work on your teams for these programs? And do you bring in outside speakers, or is it all library staff run? And how big is your population served? Maybe if everyone wants to answer kind of all three of those questions together for your location.
Sure, I can go in right there. Again, so our population served is about 370,000 people. The staff we have committed to that in our library is mostly 2 to 3 people at any given time. You know, it's more like project management. So they may farm out tasks to other staff within our organization. Organization is about 350 to 380 people, you know, depending on where we're at. And, you know, so sometimes we work with branch managers in communities we're trying to serve, or we work with partnership opportunities, you know, like with the NIC or with, you know, Bankable or Allen County Extension or any of these other groups that we're working with. But the drivers behind it are roughly 2 to 3 people. And I'd say on any average week, we spend probably 2 to 3 hours a week coordinating services for our entrepreneurial services, you know, which is, you know, over time that adds up. It doesn't take a ton of time. You know, you may have more at the beginning when you're first starting, but over time, as you reach the maintenance level, it's not a huge investment of staff time to really, you know, reap a good community award and utilize the talents of the partners we work with.
So our Laramie County is just shy of 100,000 in our county, and keeping in mind that there's right at 500,000 in our entire state. So we're one of the largest counties. And as far as individuals within our library, I was very specifically tasked with this business outreach. But that was also, you know, like maybe 18 hours a week. And the other half of the time I spent on the reference desk, which actually is a really good thing, because that's how you know what the questions that are coming in, right? What are people interested in? What are they asking? So that can be very helpful. As this has grown, now I rely a lot on partners, and spend a good deal of my time more in the, you know, the direction and the delegation. I'm trying to be better at the delegation part of it, but Wyoming's pretty big, so there's a lot of travel involved. So it doesn't have to start. You don't have to have multiple people just to get your program started.
Yeah, Gwinnett's project team is 5 staff with some support from library administration. Almost all of our presentations are by mentors volunteers who are experts in business. And then our service population is about 1 million, but not all of our participants are Gwinnett residents. Some of them are from neighboring counties. But yeah, it's a fairly large service area population that we serve. I think that was all the questions. Atlas, did you have anything to add there?
I see a question actually just for Atlas and Adam. Oh, it's from Mel. We know Mel. Hi, Mel. How are you funding the laptops for your program? Are they donated from a local company?
No, that was actually through the Libraries Build Business grant that we received as part of the project. So
I will say, I think we've gotten smarter over time, because we started with MacBook Airs and have learned that the Chromebooks serve their needs just as well and cost quite a bit less. So we've adjusted over time. Like I said, we've learned.
I can follow up on that too, because part of our CNPP grant was the purchase of laptops to both circulate and to utilize for our partners. So we did that in 2 phases. You know, the grant money we used for internal use, we bought some high-end Dells that currently half of them are being used by the Urban League for the entrepreneurial cohort. And we'll get those back and, you know, farm around, but then we're going to be circulating Chromebooks too, because economically those things are pretty great. And if you have access to the G Suite or the internet, I mean, that's kind of covers most of what you need.
I see a question about anyone working with Spanish speaking small business owners. Anybody any of our panelists?
So that's one of the things that we are doing through our CNPP grant. We're working with the NIC and they're trying to reach those communities. And so we are lucky in that on their staff, they have some native Spanish speakers who are connected to the community, who know people within it. And that's how we're getting in. You know, on our part, we're building relationships. it takes time because you have a group of individuals, generally speaking, who may not be familiar with libraries, you know, as a thing. And so, you know, we try and reach those communities through hosting tours for ESL classes or participating in a variety of festivals or events that happen within the community. But for the business part, we're working through our grant partner, the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center, because they already have built those relationships. And so if there are other libraries or individuals who are looking to start, that's probably the best place I would recommend. Is if you see a partner that is always there in the place you're trying to go, you know, see if you can make a connection to them, even if it's just picking up a phone call. A lot of times they're really happy to just share information or contacts because the communities they are serving want to be reached out to.
Yeah, and some of our cohort members from other libraries worked with speakers of other languages, including Spanish speakers. So check that out in the playbook, or feel free to reach out to anyone. I think LA Public for sure worked with Spanish speaking. I think Appleton Public Library in Wisconsin did as well. So we have a couple examples in the cohort that people that have worked with Spanish speakers. I think that was all the questions that were in the chat. I don't know if our panelists have a final word, but thank you everyone for joining us today. And like I said, please keep in touch.
And, you know, in our Slack channel, you can ask for one-on-one coaching. So regardless of whether you're working on business side of things, or I imagine even if you're working on the nonprofit side of things, we would certainly be more than happy to sit down and have that conversation with you. I mean, I know myself and Nate, we've both been Candid members for quite a while, and I think we're both training fins as well, and so we get it, and we understand that background, and we can certainly help talk through some different approaches.
Yes, everything Rachel just said. And also that, you know, Candid as a resource is pretty tremendous. And if you are helping individuals access what's in it, that makes such an impact in people's lives. It's really cool. Even a small grant can go a very, very long way in making a difference. We've seen that in some of the programs we've done and individuals we've helped.
Thank you to our panel, and thank you to our audience, and thank you, Candid, for having us.